All right, welcome to First Integrity Mortgage's Chit Chat with Cindy Ballman. My guest today is Joshua Walker of the Walker Agency. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Josh, actually, you are an insurance broker. Please tell us what makes you different than your standard insurance agent.
So there's different types of agents. There's a captured agent, which is kind of stuck with the company that they have. So like a Farmers or an American Family or State Farm, they can only sell those products. So they can't really shop insurance aside from whatever they can offer. So I have the opportunity of shopping over 50 different carriers between home insurance, auto, life insurance, commercial, whether you got ATVs, toys, campers, we can shop all of it for you. So makes a big difference. Whereas not every carrier can even, even have the opportunity to shop some of those toys for you.
Right. Yeah, like boats. I know boats are sometimes hard to insure. Like you said, little watercraft, the small watercraft vehicles. Those are a little more difficult. So that's good to know. And lately I've had some clients call in. They're like, gosh, my insurance rates went up. Is there anything I can do? And I always do refer them to a broker because I'm like, hey, it's worth it to just have them take their time, see if there's something better for you. What is maybe some of the reasons why car and homeowners insurance premiums have gone up recently?
Oh gosh, the insurance is like turned upside down recently. There's been claims left and right. After COVID, we had all the shortages on materials for cars and labor shortages and everything else. And since then, it never really bounced back. The claims have just kept going up. People are filing small claims when they shouldn't be filing claims at all.
Okay.
So they're paying out a lot, or they're paying out a little. And when it turns out, if they can't get the materials in time, sometimes the insurance companies are turning it into like a total loss. And so they end up paying out more than for just a little fender bender just because they can't get the materials or the cost of materials has gone up. So,
And you know what? I have heard that. There's a friend of mine, they're like, we didn't think it was a big accident, but they totaled the car and they were kind of shocked by that. So
crazy
I
enough.
guess that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the nature of the beast that we're all kind of stuck in that right now. So what can people maybe do to help lower their premiums if, they've got a car that they love or they've got a home that they love? What are maybe some things they can do to help maybe keep their monthly or annual premium a little bit lower?
So as far as you can always shop your rates. That's where coming to our broker is. So if you come up to renewal and your rates went up with your current company, your broker that you're dealing with, they can shop the rates. It should be pretty easy for them. If they can't, I can.
Okay. That's why we're going to call Josh.
Right. But especially for homes, there's a lot of companies now that have like even just left the state. They don't want to insure homes in Missouri anymore. So they'll keep the ones that they have currently, but they're not offering any new products for any new people within the market. Like Hippo, they just left the state for a short period just to stop their losses. There was a lot of losses coming through on Hippo's side, so they ended up leaving. I still have people under my book that have Hippo, so they don't just drop you, but they're not offering anything new. So they might be maybe raising their rates to try and get rid of some of those people. And then that's when we decide that we're just going to shop it and find a better carrier.
Okay. And I know like deductibles, sometimes there's things that you can look at, and tell me about that. Like how does that work in helping to lower your premium?
So the higher the deductible, so if you go from $1,000 deductible to a $5,000 or maybe a 1% or 2%, and that's based off of how much your home is insured for. If you go higher, then you're self-insuring more, which means that you're covering a certain cost. So if it costs $10,000 to replace your roof and you got a $5,000 deductible, you're paying $5,000 out of pocket to finish putting that roof on as opposed to $1,000. So it's a pay here or pay later.
Gotcha.
Pay now, pay later kind of thing. So you can keep your premium pretty low if you have a high deductible, but that means that you need to make sure you're using insurance responsibly and only filing claims in like major losses, not this like we had a small hailstorm, my roof is already 20 years old. Do I call the insurance company? No, you just put your roof on.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Plus, insurance claims on homes will stick with you for about 5 years.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah. Okay.
So auto insurance claims is 3 to 5 years, just depending on the company.
Okay. All right. So, again, also good information to know for people that kind of help budget their money. I mean, the best we can right now.
Right.
Another topic, I guess we were talking about, when people are looking to purchase a new home, because again, I'm in the lending side of
Sure.
things, what are things that maybe they should be looking for in that home that maybe would help them reduce their overall cost?
Yeah, so it's going to be like location's going to be a big key. You're going to want to be close to a fire hydrant or a fire department, or if you're in a more rural area where there's none of those things that are close by, having a water source is going to be pretty key, a pond or something that they can pump to be able to put the fire out. If you're too far away and you don't have that water source, your premiums are going to go pretty high just because the chances of saving the home are going to be pretty slim.
Okay.
So that's one thing you're going to be looking for. Roof age. When was the last time it was replaced? I know Missouri, it's not the case, but in like Texas, it has to be within a year of a new roof for most insurance carriers.
Wow. So if you're changing insurance kind of thing.
right.
Okay. Okay. What about flood insurance? I know in my world, I'm like, we always pull what's called a flood certificate. And that's basically from FEMA. And it basically tells us if that property is located in a flood zone. Majority of the homes in the St. Louis area are not, unless you're really close to the Missouri River, even like the river to Pear sometimes. But do people get flood insurance just as a precaution? Like, what does that cover
Right.
if they're not in a flood zone?
Yeah, that's a good question because most homeowners policies, obviously almost all homeowners policies don't cover flood insurance. If you have the endorsements, it'll cover backup through the sewers and drains type stuff. But flood insurance, technically, everybody's in a floodplain. It's just a matter of when's it going to flood or if it will flood. So, I mean, even just a couple of years ago, we had 12 inches of rain in 2 hours, and it flooded a lot of St. Louis, the highways.
Yeah.
A lot of claims got paid out through FEMA because, it was a catastrophe. So they ended up paying out for part of it. But I saw basements get collapsed in on each other. Blowouts on the walls and stuff. But flood insurance is, if you're not in a big major flood area, then it's cheap.
Okay.
It's really cheap. Some companies offer like an endorsement for it, but having your own standard flood policy, I would say is completely worth it. If you're not, even if you're not in, what would consider maybe a flood zone?
What would I consider a flood zone? Well, and there are the maps that the FEMA puts out. It would, and it sometimes, I mean, I have seen a house where it just barely touched that flood zone, and flood insurance was required in order for us to insure the home for the lending side. And those sometimes could have been more expensive. But like you said, you could be in a house that is not in a flood zone, but if it's not an expensive part of your policy, it's peace of mind, I guess, would be the best way to put it, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Just because rising water, anything that's rising water from the outside is considered a flood, and your homeowner's policy is not going to cover it.
Gotcha.
So you need to have a separate policy for that. So maybe you live at the bottom of a hill in a cul-de-sac, and you're not in a flood zone, but we did get 12 inches of water, then chances of your house flooding are going to be probably pretty high.
Okay.
Sewers just can't manage that, which is why our highways flooded.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Flood insurance policies, I think, are worth having. Everybody's got their own opinion on it. It's kind of like earthquake insurance.
I was going to ask, I'm like, most people, either go, it's part of my policy, but is it really part of your policy? Is that a separate like rider or whatever you would add to it? And we're in Missouri. It might happen at some point.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on earthquake insurance?
Earthquake insurance is a rough subject for some people. So Missouri, we're a huge state that does a lot of fracking. That's just blowing up stuff.
Yeah.
So earthquake policies tend to, I've never seen one go through. They tend to automatically deny earthquake coverage because we are in an area that does a lot of fracking. So you have to prove that it was the earthquake and not the blasting.
Oh, okay.
And so it ends up being like a he said, she said, bickering over it. Now you can win them for sure because obviously when an earthquake happens, it's all being recorded. But just under my house alone, I live close to a quarry. 2:00 every day, my house shakes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We've had some of our neighbors complain that pictures have fallen off their walls. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My basement, everything's in great shape. I don't have any troubles. But if I was to file an earthquake claim, chances are I wouldn't get paid out on it.
Oh my gosh. I never would have even thought about that.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
whenever somebody's talking to me about earthquake insurance, I just ask them if they want it.
Okay.
And I give them my explanation as to whether you maybe should or shouldn't and let them make the decision because some people are really stubborn about I need to have it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to sell it. So
And I guess, I wonder though, is it kind of like it would be a catastrophic event if we had a bad earthquake? That
right.
might be something where FEMA would step in to assist. Was there anything else that you'd like to share about your agency or any other products that you can offer to your clients?
Well, I think we pretty well covered. I can offer just about any product. Life
Yeah.
insurance is normally pretty important, but the home, the auto, the toys. The toys are the ones that like some people try to like skate by without getting insurance on.
Mm-hmm.
Campers, stuff like that. You should definitely get them. The policies are super cheap,
Yeah.
especially the liability portion of it. If somebody gets hurt while they're playing on your four-wheeler,
Right.
it's no good. So
Well, and tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, Josh.
okay. Well, you can always reach me by phone or text or whatever by calling 314-377-7572 is my direct line. I'm pretty much always available. It rings to my cell phone. So
That sounds great. All right, Joshua, thank you so much for coming in today. For if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us. Thank you so much for joining us today.